theater. It is 1969 and abortion is illegal in the United States. 200,000 to 1.2 million illegal abortions occur each year. The civil rights and Black Power movements have been rocking the country, unsettling white supremacy and racist segregation across the nation. The Vietnam War is in its 5th year, and an anti-war movement is raging across the country with some of the largest demonstrations ever seen in the U.S. Abortion is illegal. The concept of sexual harassment does not exist. Legally, a man can rape his wife. There was no organized feminist movement for women's liberation, but there was a small group of doctors and liberal reformers worried about the casualties from illegal abortions. They saw it as a public health concern and wanted to begin to allow some abortion reform in certain situations. Join us in 1969 in New York City for a reenactment of one of those reform hearings.
Well, maybe she can have an abortion if she served her debt to society and had 5 children. I think 4's enough.
No, 6.
Okay, all right. Maybe she can have an abortion if she's been raped. But how can we know if she's telling the truth? Okay, not just any rape, but maybe very near-death extreme experiences?
Well, what if she's insane? Could she appeal to a committee that she's mentally stable, and then we'd let her apply for an abortion?
Yes, perhaps that would be all right. Well, maybe she can have an abortion if...
Let's hear from the real experts on abortion.
Today, this panel of clergymen, doctors, and other professional experts, 14 men, think about that, 14 men and 1 woman, a nun, are picking apart the abortion law. They're going to tell us, in their usual daddy knows best manner, just how much control over our own reproductive processes we should have, how much we should be allowed to have. The only experts on abortion are women.
Women who have known the fear and the pain and the socially imposed guilt of an illegal abortion.
Women who have seen their friends in a panic over a pregnancy that they didn't want and couldn't go through, not knowing whether they would end up dead or in agony over a post-abortion infection.
Women who've had children by the wrong man at the wrong time because no real doctors would help them. None of your reforms would help me.
Women who know any of these things could happen to them. Any woman can tell you, abortion laws are sexist laws made by men to punish women. We don't want to reform sexist laws. We want to repeal all laws on abortion. You are so rude. I'm a doctor, for God's sake.
Yes, we are on your side. If you would stop just being hysterical, you would see that we're on your side. All we're trying to do, ladies, is figure out the best way for you to serve your moral debt to society. No more, no less.
You must be reasonable.
We owe society nothing. Society owes us the right to choose what to do with our own bodies. And then if we do get pregnant and we go to our man and say, honey, I'm pregnant. He says, is it mine? Or have you been sleeping around?
Or he says, what am I gonna do? What is he gonna do? What am I gonna do? The man is not the one who has to have the abortion or else raise a baby. And yet we've got 14 male experts up here today and one woman, a nun. Okay, is she an expert? Thank you. The only real experts are women in this audience who have had abortions. But no one's listening to us.
That's why we're here tonight, to bring this issue home. It's not about the religious implications. It's not about the philosophical aspects. It's not your moral dilemma. It's my body. No one is an expert on abortion or whether a woman should have an abortion unless she has to have an abortion.
When I had an abortion, I didn't think I could handle it. I had so many things that were so much more important to me and to my own development. Eventually, I became pregnant again, and I had a child, and I'm a mother. I have all the feelings of being a mother. And it's not for you guys to decide when I have a child. That is how every child should be brought into the world, as a wanted child.
There's another point involved here, and that is that women's bodies are used as a tool in a power structure. If abortion were legalized, there'd be a breakdown in the power structure. Women are a tool. We're possessed. We are owned. And the thing that we carry is also owned. If abortion were legalized, a man couldn't threaten you in the same way.
The thing about it that really irks me is that you never get any attention for the good things that you do. Nobody ever says, yeah, wow, she wants to be a painter, great. Nobody ever says, yeah, she wants to go to school, that's great. What they get excited about is when you tell them that you're pregnant. And then everybody comes forth. Everybody wants to help you. Relatives I hadn't seen in years were ready to help me take care of the child. Suddenly, when I was fulfilling my biological function, I was important. Suddenly, the thing that in society that gives you attention is having a child. And when I decided that I'm not going to have that function, I'm not going to fulfill that function, everything changes. Nobody's interested in me. The family that wanted to help me take care of the child was gone. The social worker who's supposed to help me make that decision makes me feel shameful because I'm giving away a child. And there's something about shameful. Why is there something shameful about giving away a child that you can't take care of? I think actually, I wonder if it had been less shameful to have an abortion. But in my year, 1969, it was illegal, and I would have to become a criminal in order to get an abortion.
If you don't want this pregnancy, then you are faced with a very clear reality. And that is that you are sacrificing your life every time you have to go to a hotel room or get into a car on Lexington and 34th Street and you're blindfolded. You don't know where you're going. They don't tell you. You're not given anesthesia. The medical instruments aren't sterilized. You could end up with an infection. You could wind up never being able to have children. And that's just what women face. This is our debt to society.
This action of the women's liberation movement by women who would soon form Red Stockings in New York radical women led to the first abortion speak out that followed it. This burgeoning women's liberation movement lit a fire in women. In short time, there were groups all over the country, across the world even. New York was the first to legalize abortion in 1970, one short year after this militant organizing. New York had the strongest women's liberation movement in the country. Those women who could afford the means to get there flocked to New York for legal abortion. A young attorney named Sarah Weddington went to a feminist consciousness-raising meeting and talked with women who had an illegal abortion. This experience inspired her to represent Jane Doe in Roe v. Wade. She was 26 when she argued before the Supreme Court in 1973, and she had only 30 minutes to make her arguments. The movement, the militant, honest, brave movement that you have seen a peek of tonight is what led to her fighting that case. The Supreme Court legalized abortion in 1973 with the Roe v. Wade decision. This was largely seen by movement pioneers as insufficient compared to the movement's demand for repeal of all laws on abortion. But at the same time, it was a relief for millions of women and a huge victory. But in Canada, they won repeal of all laws on abortion. There, abortion is not regulated by the government at all. It's a woman's decision. Period. We need to demand repeal again and not have to fight these 1,000 little cuts to abortion access. We must have in girls' and women's hands all the tools to control when and if we get pregnant. Join National Women's Liberation or make the decision today to make a sustained donation as we fight for these demands. 1.
An end to racist and sexist assaults and all forms of bigotry.
2. Reproductive freedom, full access, and no coercion.
3.
National health care for all.
4.
A $15 minimum wage for all workers, no exception.
5.
Protection and expansion of Social Security.
6.
Childcare, free like public school, and paid family leave.
7.
Repeal of all abortion laws and the choice to become a parent on your own time.
8. Respect. We celebrate Roe tonight. It has made our lives, women and men, so much better to have the relief of abortion as a backup to a pregnancy scare, and to have the morning after pill over the counter, and birth control as part of our health coverage. These are wins we must fight to hold on to. But we also need to finish the women's liberation movement's agenda. Join us.